Hey, friends, welcome back to the Call to Lead podcast. So, this week's episode is another renewal recap, as I'm calling it, where I'll be spilling all the tea on the things that went down for my team in Seint in May. And full disclosure, it was not a pretty month. I'm not going to lie, there's several things that were not so great, and I'll share those along with some things that I was actually really excited and encouraged about in May. So it's not all bad, but it was not a great month, not gonna lie. So if you want to know the specifics and you want to know the work, the wins, the opportunities for growth, the recognition, and my actual KPIs or numbers, dive into the episode and I'll be sharing all the things. Okay, so if this is the first renewal recap you've listened to, essentially I break down my month in my business and reflect on things that I think you should also reflect on in your business. So whether it's monthly, weekly, seasonally, quarterly, or yearly, the acronym that I use to break down my business are the wins from the previous month, the opportunities for growth, recognition, and KPIs, which is all encompassed in the acronym WORK. So this is meant to be a way that I can reflect back on all the things, the good, the bad, the ugly, as I like to say. And especially in this season of renewal, where Seint is about 7 years in, 7.5 now. And we've reached this point where we aren't necessarily seeing like this hyper growth like we did at one point. Promotions can certainly help sales. Like we're going to have one this month coming up next week. So I'll be curious to see how that impacts June. But what we're looking at right now in business is slow and steady wins the race until we expand globally. So last week's episode was all about global expansion, and I can't wait to see what that does to business. But for now, we are just rolling with the roller coaster, which is any business and any business model. And speaking of that, I'm hearing from multiple entrepreneurs, multiple business owners that May was rough across the board for pretty much everybody, not just in network marketing, not just in Seint. Retail sales were down. I think that May was just crazy, especially for working moms. I think with the election and things like that, I think things are just a little bit dicey at the moment. And so I think people are spending a little bit less. Inflation has caught up with some things. So if your business is down, whether you're in Seint or not, know that you are not alone. This is something that I remember when the Great Recession happened and I had my boutique. We started off like, okay, 15% down, 20% down, and then it jumped to like 30 or 40% down. And I remember how scary it was. And people weren't talking about it. Like no one wanted to admit that things were not rosy. And so that might be how you as a business owner are feeling right now. And I want you to know that you are not alone, that last month was not amazing. So that doesn't mean that when we get into some of these nitty-gritty numbers, and I'll share some things, that selling your product is not still something that you can and should do, or that ranking in your business is not something that's possible, as I've learned and I can share from last month. So try not to get discouraged. Just know that the realities are you might not be able to sit back and coast on things like your reorders like you maybe had in the past, which I am definitely that is where I am right now. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. But let's dive in to the work acronym, starting with the W, which is the wins. So I always like to start with the positive, and if you look closely enough, you will always be able to see it. And I do recommend, analyzing the data so it's factual, but also if you have certain, kind of anecdotal things or experiences, you can count those as a win too. And so the first win that I want to share is despite overall sales being down and despite there being some kind of discouragement or, some things out there, rank advancements were still happening and some really big ones last month. So I was really pleased that both our core rank advancements and some higher level, including an amazing gal that you'll learn about in a second that ranked to the top 1% of the company in a really tough month. And so that says to me that people are still ranking, still growing, and definitely still buying our product. And I suspect the same thing is happening in your business, your team, and your company. So you really have to look at these wins as an opportunity to kind of figure out, well, okay, what are they doing differently? What are they doing that I can do and learn from in order to grow in my business? Because success leaves clues, and I bet if they can do it, so can you. You might just have to shift your strategy a little bit. You might have to try something different, and you might have to work a little bit harder. I'm just going to say that. That's why we use the acronym WORK, because running any business, whether it's network marketing or otherwise, it is work. It can be fun, which we've also talked about on a recent episode, but it is also work. But I have to shout out the amazing gals who rank advanced last month. So, so, so stinking exciting. And that is my first win. So the second win is for those who are actively working their business. Our sales per active teamie is still pretty dang high, meaning the ones who aren't getting stuck in their head or stuck in fear or inaction or just giving up in the midst of the busy madness of headed into summer. And I mean, May was like a doozy, right? For anybody who has school-aged kids in particular. But for those who actually made working their business a priority and continued to share their product and continued to get active in their business, they had, I'll share the KPIs later, but it's still really, really strong. It's like $1,482, almost $1,500 for the average active teamie. That's amazing. And that's hundreds of dollars of profit in the pockets of those who are actively working their business and are doing the dang thing. So keep your head down, my friends. Keep doing the things because there's still just as much opportunity. It's just you have to put yourself out there and you have to not get in your head and not let fear be the thing that holds you back. Okay. So that's the number 2 reason. Number 3 is really exciting that we already have 442, which is about 10% of my entire team registered for our conference, which isn't even until September. But our early bird tickets did close last week or this week. Yeah, this week. And so I was super excited when I got my report and saw that 10% of our team is already registered. So I'd love, obviously, for more. I'd love for it to be 20%. And I will continue tracking that as well as we get closer to that annual conference reunion. But that is a sign that people are looking forward. They are excited about learning more. There's going to be all kinds of exciting, announcements and new products and things like that will take place there. So it certainly is going to be the fuel to the fire for our business. And I cannot wait to be there in person with those of you guys who are going to Atlanta. So that's a huge win and definitely a metric you should be tracking in your business for how many of your teamies are going to reunion. And actually, I will also, because if you remember, I shared that an opportunity for growth was getting my direct artists to reunion. And I'm thrilled to say that was also a win that's kind of tied to this, that I was able to get, I think it was 9 of my directs, which I'm super excited. So it's more than 20% of my direct artists have gotten their ticket. And it's, I think, even more if you count like the direct legs, but that's actually my directs that are going. And I am so dang thrilled, you guys. And so that was something, I put my time and focus and energy when I saw it was an opportunity for growth. And it's something that paid off, not just for my business, but I know that it will pay off for them as well. So I'm really excited about that. So those are the wins from May. So let's talk about the opportunities for growth. So overall, sales were down across the board for pretty much everybody. There were some gals, I think, that might be riding a little bit of a wave of some social media growth. There are some gals who really put their head down and did some classes that may have seen some growth, but pretty much everybody was down in their personal sales, which led to being down in overall team sales. And it also led to my own personal sales being down. And so that's the first opportunity for growth is my personal sales were the probably worse. But actually, were they a little bit better than the month before? But that's 2 months in a row that they were not amazing. Let me scroll over and see if it was better. Nope, it was worse than April. In fact, it's the worst sales month personally that I've had in over a year. So, I'm not going to get too down about it. I'm just going to look at it as an opportunity for growth. And I already have 2 classes, a possible third one that actually I might literally even go to the UK. I can't even believe I'm saying this on the podcast right now because I don't know if it'll happen, but I might have a class literally lined up. Now, we're not even over there yet, but I can kind of, like I talked about in my expansion opportunity, it's the one person that I know in that area might be open to hosting a class for me, and I might be hopping over there with my sister-in-law next week. So that might be 3 classes, which is pretty crazy, one of them internationally. But I am diving into this, and I also did decide I posted a reel on Instagram because I challenged you guys to do the scary things to bring the fun back into your business. And I think that might be something that's a little bit missing from mine. And while I don't plan on diving in and posting every day or like doing a million of them, as I was getting ready to do my makeup today, I was like, why not just do a little simple reel and pop it up there. And so I did, and I'm going to try to kind of put myself a little bit more out there. We also have a big sale this month. And so I'm hoping that this can be a huge opportunity for growth. And I'm also hoping, because I'm still going for the trip, and I'm going to have to sell a lot of makeup this month to qualify for for the fall bonus trip with Seint. I'm still looking pretty good. Still got to sell some stuff to qualify for Maui, but I'd love to do them both. That's kind of my plan, is to try to go to both of them or qualify for both of them. But in order to do that, I'm going to have to focus on the opportunity of growth of my own personal sales. So that's my first opportunity for growth. My second one is the fact that, okay, I'm almost embarrassed to say this number, but I told you guys I would bring the truth. Only 14% of my entire team of 4,400 was active last month. 14%. You guys, that is not good. 20% is really not good. I always say, like, if you have more than half active, you're doing amazing. And it's definitely a metric that you should track, the percentage active. But y'all, 14%, that is not good. That is not going to cut it. Now, I did say already that those who were active, so that 14%, they did great. They had awesome sales. But we've got to focus on the small wins, and we've got to focus on normalizing those small wins and really helping go back to the basics instead of trying to shoot for the moon with these crazy high sales. And so that's definitely something where we have a huge opportunity for growth. And then because of that, the average sales per teamie overall is one of the lowest that it's been in quite some time. So it actually dipped below 300 CV, 300 SV, I think, actually, which, let me see, it dipped below 200 CV. That's what it was. So that's not good, you guys. That's another one that I'm just like, oh, I'm so sad. So the shakeout is real. Sales are definitely down across the board. I did kind of, in looking for the opportunities for growth and analyzing the numbers, I did do an analysis of those who are doing multiple companies and those who are not doing multiple companies, just to kind of look at the dichotomy and the difference. And I'll share that at the end of my KPIs. So stay tuned and keep listening if you want the scoop on that. Next, after opportunities for growth, let's move back into the good stuff, right? The recognition. So I could shout out some amazing, like I could do multiple girls, but each month I pick 3 people on my team that deserve all the bit of recognition. And the first girl that I'm going to shout out, you guys, her name is Rachel Smith, and she ranked to Artist 6 in Seint, which I'll share the income disclosure, but you guys, that is the top 1% of Seint, and she did it in one of the worst months in a minute. And so girlfriend is doing some big things, and she's not doing it alone. That's what got her there, is the mentorship. She has stacked mentors, amazing leaders above her on her team. She is now taking that encouragement that's been poured onto her, and she's pouring it back onto the girls on her team. And she is making them feel like they can do exactly what she's doing, which the way she's doing it is something anybody could do. She's not trying to build some huge following. She's serving her customers really well through her VIP group. She's growing that group by creating content and classes and fun things to be able to support that. She is incredibly consistent, and she is encouraging. And so she's not the only one that's winning in her business. She is leading by example, and she's doing the things to drive her personal business forward, but she's helping a lot of women on her team do the same. And I am so excited. I know that she and some of her leaders that hit those big ranks really were working hard on those, and they did it and got it done. And I am so stinking excited for them. So you're also going to be hearing very, very soon from Rachel's mama, Seint mama and mentor. Her name's Miranda Benson. I've talked about her on this podcast before, but I'm also super proud of her. She's not totally one of my 3 yet, but because I keep kind of talking about her on different things. But anyway, I had to shout out Rachel. But Miranda, you guys, she could have, because of this rank, she could have pushed to Artist 7, which is a huge freaking deal. And instead of trying to force it or push it or funnel orders or do things like that to try to make it happen, she just took a deep breath and said, you know what, it's not going to happen this month, and that is okay. And I told her I couldn't be more proud of her doing that than if she'd actually ranked. So I am so proud of Miranda, and you're going to be hearing her story because if you recall, one of her other teamies last month was one of the gals that also ranked and was shouted out in the recognition. And so Miranda's cranking out those ladies over there, and I can't wait for you to hear her amazing story on a podcast coming up really soon. So The next lady that deserves the recognition is Terry Jo Butler. So you guys, I've been watching her for a minute, and I know she's been like, again, very consistent and doing the things for a minute. She is a doll. But you guys, she was in the top 12 on my entire team of over 4,400 women last month. And I was just like, what? This is amazing. Actually, I think it's the second month in a row. Yeah, 2 months in a row that she was in the top 12. And so I sent her a message and I'm like, all right, Terry J, you got to give me the scoop. What you got going on over there, girl? And she just said that she's just really excited about her business, and she's doing, definitely, she always consistently focuses on doing 1 to 2 in-person classes a month, but she couples that with doing online virtual classes as well. And again, she's cultivating relationships and doing really great customer service for her existing customers, which I think is helping, but she's not resting on that. She's bringing in new customers through these in-person classes and through online classes. And her relatable energy is just so awesome. And it's just really fun to see her grow. Again, she's kind of one of the few that actually had higher sales than usual last month. And so she's clearly doing something right. And that's definitely a commendable thing. And so I'm super excited to shout out Terry Jo. She's awesome. So last but not least, for the recognition piece is my girl, Grace Hannaford. So you guys, Grace is the definition of consistency and leading by example, which is the most important thing if you want to do big things in your business. And she is a top 2% ranked, high ranked artist, but she's another one that is busting out leaders and sellers and just encouraging the girls on her team. But guess what? She's not just sitting there watching them in a management mode. She's doing it herself. She was one of the top enrollers on my team last month. And that means that she is not letting the Seint shake out, even as a leader, or seeing the things that are happening or the shiny object syndrome get to her. And she is really pouring into her business, and she's actively building and growing and enrolling new artists and helping them have success in the business. And it's really fun and really cool to watch. So I was so excited to see her name pop up as one of the top enrollers because she's just awesome, you guys. She's amazing and deserves all the love. So congratulations, Grace. All right, so next up, and finally, let's dive into the KPIs, or the key performance indicators of my actual numbers. So these are the ones that analysts like Brett Blake or Bob Heilig or Eric Worre, these are the numbers that we recommend that you track in your business. And so I boldly and truthfully share mine each and every month. And again, go back to our income disclosure if you want the specifics. It's taken 7.5 years to get to this level. So just kind of keep that in mind, that this results aren't typical. And I'm not trying to share this to get anything from you. I'm just trying to give you the truth and what you can expect, or what, I guess, a top leader's business actually looks like. So the first KPI is the total team sales. So our total team sales last month was 1.12 million, which I think anything over a million is great. I like to be closer to the 2 or more is awesome. But you know what? Either way you look at it, it was 35% down from last May. So not a great month, not exciting, but it is what it is. And that's all I can really say. So 1.12 million, 35% down from last May. I already said that my personal sales were down last month. They were 2343, which is, I'm embarrassed to say, 59% down from last May. So I got some things to work on over here, guys. But like I said, that's an opportunity for growth that we will do. So if your sales are down, you're not alone. All right, next up, total artist. So this is a number that's actually holding pretty steady. So we're at 4,404, which is actually about 4%, a lot of fours, lower than where we were last year. So we are dipping slightly. But I think given that this is the shakeout, and we also had, again, last month, one of those things where corporate kind of wiped out the girls that were not doing anything or not paying their back office fee. And so I'm okay with it, because it's, let's see, what did we do? Yeah, my direct stayed consistent. I didn't have any that quit. It was 49. I'm at 49 directs for my business. And so in terms of new artists, we had 68 new artists join the team in May, which I'm still, that's very exciting to have 68. Even if it's 40% down from last year, it's still 68 amazing women who decided to link arms in business with us. And so we need to be careful not to look too much at the numbers and really think okay, this is an opportunity to help 68 people start and launch their business. And so I'm excited just to see that there are people, that are adding people, and that is still happening. So 68 new artists. I did not have any artists personally join last month, but I do have a couple that I'm chatting with this month. So we'll see. And we did have 74 artists quit, which is 1.7% of the team. And that is about typical. I always say it's anywhere from 10 to 15% over the year are going to quit. And that's just like in a normal business. And so the fact that we're right in line with that is pretty good. So not too terrible. Okay, so rank advancements, we had 41. So again, I was really thrilled to see that people are still ranking. They are still growing, which says that if they can do it, anybody can do it. And while I didn't have any of my directs rank, again, there are some that are super close, which is really exciting. So also I track core rank advancements. And so this is the foundation rank that your business is based on. In Seint, ours is what's called Artist 3. This is the top 10% of the company. And we had 4 artists that ranked to that last month, which I was so excited about. So it's not the same numbers as it used to be, but it's actually better than the few months in the past. And so people are doing the thing, and that's something we've been focusing on. So that is not bad. Then the average sales per teamie, we talked about this, 198 CV, which is the 20% commission bracket. I much prefer for that to be in the 25% commission bracket. It equates to about $287 in retail sales in the US or $396 in Canada, which equates to $57 in the US or $79 in Canada for actual commissions in the pocket on average, which more than covers the back office fee. So, I mean, if we're going to look at the glass half full, maybe that's one thing we can look at, but certainly that is not a number that I am super proud of and would love to see that number grow. Maybe this month with this. Next up, the percentage active, we said 14%, not good, not good. We're just going to leave that there. Then sales per active teamie, you guys, is $14.82. So that's an average of $444 in commissions in the pockets of those who are actively working their business. And even if you throw out my top 2 outliers who sell like $100,000 or around that mark, it's still $11.90. Which is still awesome, and that's $357 in commissions. So I don't know anybody who could not use an additional $350 in their pocket this month. And so if that is you, I recommend that you just dive in. Don't be scared. Do the thing. Share the product. Let's do this, girl, together. Then lastly, my total customers are 2601, which is 40 new and rolled up in case someone, which I don't think I had any. If I had an artist quit, one of her girls rolled up, which I probably need to look into and make sure that I connect with these new ladies. But of course, I had some new customers for myself as well. So those are the overall KPIs that I share each and every month. And now, as promised, I want to kind of share some additional stats and data that I decided I was kind of like, gosh, is this something I really want to focus on or not? But I wanted to know for myself. And I figured since I did the math for myself, I can share it with you guys, which is, do the numbers look different for those who are doing more than one company, actively promoting it, or the ones who are just solely focused on Seint? So with 4,000 people, it was a little tricky to figure out how to do this and try to get like an accurate sample size. And so what I decided to do was I looked at the ones who were in the 40% commission bracket. So those are the ones in the highest sales bracket. And then I looked at those who were paid at Artist 4, which is the top 5% in the company, to paid Artist 4 and above. And I divided them into 2 categories. They're either actively promoting 2 companies or they're focused on just the one. And so I don't have a crystal ball to know whether someone has signed up with more than one company. So what I looked for is if like their link tree had multiple companies. I'm not talking about affiliate stuff. I'm talking about network marketing companies that they were promoting, if they had recently done content promoting a new company. And so this is kind of how I was able to divvy them up, if that makes sense. And so one of the things that I did find, just in case you were curious, is not everyone, but both were still down. Personally, sales, team sales, both still down. One thing that I thought was really interesting and I did not expect, going to be totally honest, is the personal sales of those doing 2 were down less than the ones not doing 2. And I'm not sure, you can kind of help, maybe decipher why that might be. I think because a lot of them are kind of going the more influencer route where they're sharing multiple things online. And so, as I've said time and time and time again, they may still see success selling both products because they are, personally kind of going down that influencer model. Maybe they were already doing affiliate, sales with all kinds of other products. And so it's tying in a skincare company or a health and wellness something into whatever the other product that they're sharing isn't necessarily going to make a huge difference to their personal sales. And in some cases, it can actually increase their personal commissions, which, like I talked about a couple episodes back, is one of the reasons they're doing it, is because their paycheck is tied to their personal sales. So if their personal sales are down, then they want to add in another income stream. And what I'm seeing per the data is, yes, their personal sales are down, but they actually are down a little bit less in that category. But to me, the bigger problem that I was not surprised about is their teams were down more than double the amount that the other teams, for those who are staying the course, are down. And so there's two different ways to do this business. One, you can focus on your own solely, kind of on your own personal business and just kind of control what you can, which is your own personal business, and, go the influencer route, grow your personal sales, and just kind of see what happens and let the chips fall where they lie, and not so much worry about trying to build up a leveraged income by helping other people. Or you can do the way that I'm doing it, and that I know a lot of other leaders who are, kind of staying the course, which is you build your income in your business by helping a lot of other women with small wins. Okay. And that is the way that I'm seeing that those staying the course. Now, their teams were down about 21% on average, but the ones who are doing more than one, their teams were down 41% on average, which is, again, more than double down what the normal is. And so what that says to me is, I think the discouragement that comes, and something I've been talking about for a year and a half or so on this podcast, if not more than that. Actually, maybe is it 2 years? You guys, it's been a minute. But one of the things I've been talking about is, the fact that social selling and the whole influencer model and really trying to grow a big following in order to grow your business, it's really discouraging for those who don't want to do their business that way, who don't feel like they can or have the skill set or don't have the desire to do it. But yet that's who gets seen, right? Are the ones who have built this big, massive following. So the minute you open your app, they're right there at the top because they've got that big following. And so, I think it can be really discouraging to see someone else have success. Whereas if you shift your energy into helping people have the small wins, that is worth staying the course for me. And so I know that stat or that data is, you can kind of take it for what it is, that team sales, personal sales down across the board, but the personal sales are down a little bit less for those who are doing, and it was 19% on average down for those who are doing two, and it was about 30% down personally, so personal sales down for those who were sticking with just the one. So once again, if your sales are down, totally normal, regardless of which direction you're kind of going in your business. And I just encourage you to prayerfully decide whatever is right for you, knowing that we love and support you either way. I'm just here to give you the nerdy data stuff and to share exactly what I'm seeing from a high level, big picture over on my team. And so I hope that this episode has been helpful for you. And I am excited to continue this series and get some really fun interviews headed your way in the next coming weeks. So see you next week. Bye, guys.